Alright everybody, welcome back. First things first with this, guys, we got to make our buns. You can see I'm captioning the recipe down there. This is pretty straightforward. Start with your paddle attachment and then just mix everything together. And about 2 minutes, and it's going to end up looking like a little pebbles, like a little sand there. Gluten-free dough sometimes is a little drier than you'd normally see, and that's fine. That's the consistency we want. Now we're going to add our liquid. We're going to put the paddle attachment back on and put our water in, and you can see it start to come together there, and this is the consistency we want. Okay, so we're going to stop it now, clean that, and affix a dough hook, and then beat the crap out of it for about 3.5 to 5 minutes on high speed. And I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I will see you momentarily. And there we go. So our dough has come together just off of that. And now what we want to do is put that into an oiled bowl. I'm just going to take a non-reactive bowl there, a plastic bowl, and spray it with some extra virgin olive oil spray. You can use any kind of spray, really. You just gotta get a good coating there so it doesn't stick. And then we're going to put that right into the bowl. All right, roll it around in there. Make sure you get a nice dough ball there. Oil it up, spray it on top, and then cover it with plastic wrap. And we're going to let this rest until it doubles in size. Actually, a little more than double, which should take anywhere between 50 minutes and an hour and a half. You just kind of have to eyeball it. And I know I say I hate plastic wrap all the time, but it's really the only tool for this job. So wrap this tightly in plastic wrap. If you have the press and seal, that's really good. And then just kind of cover it with a towel and leave it in a warm place and check it, periodically over the next hour or so and see how it rises. See you in a little bit. Alright, so I'm inserting this because the first batch of dough that we made didn't rise because the yeast was dead. So, we've done it again. If my camera person can come in here closely, you can see our dough's actually rising this time. And these little discs, we've preheated our oven to 400 degrees. And these are sitting on top because you need them in a warm environment to rise. So, with gluten-free baking, and gluten-free dough in particular, since there is no invisible magic structure a la gluten, you need to use something to replace that. And what you use is something called xanthan gum. It's a natural product, don't worry about it, it's not some kind of crazy chemical. But you may see it in a lot of commercial products, and that's because it keeps things shelf stable really easily. It keeps them together. So that mimics the structure of gluten. In these rolls, I've used a pre-made gluten-free flour mix by King Arthur Flour. King Arthur, Bob's Red Mill, they already include the xanthan gum because their flours are 1-to-1 replacements for regular, traditional, all-purpose flour in any recipe. So they behave the same, but there's only one thing you have to remember. Similar to with eggs, how we have to use more salt than we think. With this, you have to use more leavening than would typically be required in your recipes. So, if your recipe, for example, called for 1 teaspoon of baking powder, you double it, 2 teaspoons, right? Or a tablespoon of baking powder, 2 tablespoons of baking powder. Because rice flour that these are based on, and rice is gluten-free, by the way, but rice flour needs the extra help, the extra gas to get the lift. So these are rising normally now, thankfully, because we have a live yeast. And we are going to preheat this to 400, and as soon as these have doubled in size or about close to it, we're going to brush them with an egg wash and sprinkle our sesame seeds to get our burger buns. And this guy is a sub bun that I'm going to put some prosciutto and mozzarella cheese on later and eat because it's delicious. Here's the thing. When you see gluten-free doughs rising, you'll see them get to a point where they start to get these little pits on the top. You see these right here? Okay, that means that dough is done rising. It can't rise anymore. Because unlike traditional dough, traditional wheat dough, rice flour doesn't have the tensile strength to hold itself together once it's maxed itself out, right? So once you see these little teeny tiny pits forming, it's time to stop the resting, brush them with egg wash, throw them in your oven. So we're gonna put these in our oven, and I will see you when they are done. All right, so here is our egg wash. It's just one egg with a little bit of water and a tiny whisk. So, tiny whisk. Break it. You're just gonna whisk it around, and you don't want it to be like whipped, like a whipped egg, right? Because you need some of the yolk to kind of adhere to the bread. So that consistency, that's what you want. Then we're gonna take our brush right here and just brush our rolls with our egg wash, right? There we go. That guy, just like that. Perfect. Now for these guys, we're going to get sesame seeds because you serve these burgers on a sesame seed bun. So, sesame seeds, sesame seeds. Perfect. This guy's a sub roll, so we're going to leave him alone. And now we are ready to throw these in to our oven. So you can keep on here. Our oven is at 400 degrees. It has been preheating for 25 minutes. We're going to put these buns on the top rack and our sub roll in the middle. Now you may see here that I've got some stuff stored in there. That doesn't really matter because you don't need a ton of air circulation for these. They just need to puff up. Also, you may notice that there's bread in our microwave at all times. That's not a weird thing. It's just that my dog Brody loves bread. So if it is on the counter or even remotely in the kitchen, he's going to eat it. So we have to keep any kind of bread in some kind of protective container. And because my wife does not have celiac disease, it's good to separate things like that. All right, so these are going to bake for anywhere between 15 and 25 minutes until they're puffed up and golden brown. And I'll see you when we take them out of the oven. Okay, so our buns are out of the oven, and you can see these look exactly like Burger King Whopper buns. And that's what we were going for here. So now if I were making these for my own purposes, I'd make more of like a closer to a brioche, make them like really big and thick because I like that. But you know, for our purposes today, these are perfect. And that's exactly what we want. And these have enough structure. Most gluten-free buns you see, they'll fall apart, or they're like rocks, like dense sort of like, well, you know, literally. Like, have you ever had a dense brownie? Double that. That's what some gluten-free buns can be like. But these are nice and light and fluffy, and they have a nice structure to them. So when you cut them open, they'll hold up to mayonnaise and cheese and beef juice, things like that, or, you know, fried chicken, whatever. And that's what we need. Our other guy, our sub bun, is still in the oven at this point, and I'm going to show him to you in a future video when we do the world's greatest sandwich. And I have a very interested party here who is being such a good girl. She's like, hi, I want some of those buns, and if I'm such a good girl, I'll get them. Isn't that right? Isn't that right? Isn't that right? All right, we're gonna plate these up, and I'm going to eat one because it looks delicious and smells delicious. And she's gonna sit here and beg and stick around. We'll get to the end.
All right, so let's go back to our board here. We still got to finish prepping our burgers. I have a pound of 80/20 ground chuck there. You can see it's 1 pound and it's in a roll, so I'm just going to cut them into quarters so we can get even quarter-pound patties out of them. Down the middle, and then 1 and 2. And what I'm going to do is roll these into balls, okay? Effectively, these are little 4-ounce balls of meat, and then we're going to press them into the shape that we want. Burger King patties are thin and wide, so they cook pretty quickly, but not so quick you can't get good grill marks on them. So the perfect tool for this, oddly enough, is a small appetizer plate, which I have right here. The bottom section of that, we're going to put some parchment paper underneath it, all right, in between the meat and the plate. These are on another piece of parchment there, non-stick parchment paper. And we're going to put these over top, and there we go. Press them in just like that, and voila, that is a Whopper patty. Okay, so I'm going to finish the rest of these pretty quickly, and then what we're going to do, after we get these all shaped and perfect, is cover them with another piece of parchment paper, all 4 of them, and then fold them up and put them in the freezer. Not so that they're totally frozen through, but just so they're nice and deeply chilled and easy to work with. So in the freezer, probably about 25 minutes. All right, now let's go back to cutting our condiments. I'm gonna zip through this. You guys know how to cut tomatoes. We've been over this before. So really, really easy. Those are 1/4-inch slices. It's pretty simple to do that with a sharp knife. Again, pretty sharp knife. There's Miss Gracie. I think she wants something. Those are just, hothouse, regular slicing tomatoes. I got a commercial pickle here, just one. Do our slices there. Burger King uses Vlasic pickles, so this is a Vlasic pickle, or Mount Olive. You can use whatever you want. I'm going to eat the rest of that, and Gracie gets a piece too. Okay, so let's go to the stove now. And we got a griddle pan. I don't have a flame broiler, but I do have a grill pan here. I'm going to preheat it to 550 degrees and then throw our meat on and grill it for 90 seconds per side. And it's going to be cooked all the way through because these are thin enough. Now they're going to shrink a little bit, but not so much. Okay, if you want to make it bigger, you can, but these are going to turn out just fine. And you can see when we flip them here, they got the nice grill marks on them, just like you get at Burger King. And all right, let's eat. Okay, and there we go. There's our bun with some mayonnaise on it, so the burger can sit on that. Some pickles, lettuce, and tomato, and our ketchup. Yum. All right, so here's our burger. Now let's give this a shot. Oh, that tastes like a Whopper. I haven't had one in about close to a decade, so good job, me. I'll put this recipe up, but man, that's delicious. So good suggestion, everybody. I'm gonna eat the rest of it.